Evil's Comics. This guy right here is Evil Mike, or Mike if you prefer, and I got a review for you today. Today we're going to be talking about, from Image Comics, Maria Llovet's Crave, issue number 1. It's written, drawn, letters, colors, everything by Maria Llovet. It's her story, her book. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. It does help. The like, the comment, the subscription, hitting the bell, it's all free, doesn't cost you anything. You might want to hit the bell, it'll keep you in tune. I don't have a schedule. It'll let you know when I drop a video. Alright, so Crave. Basically, it's about an app we learn, and that's what the symbol is. It starts out, and it's a high school, well, not a high school student, it's at college. There's clearly a university picture right there, but it starts out, and we have this title that says Crave Test 1 launching. So we're getting that this is like an experimental beta phase or something like that. I will give you that this story is told like in a vague type of way. It jumps from like situation to situation very quickly, but it basically starts out and it gives you like this prompt that everybody all of a sudden on their phones is getting this app. The app prompts with this little thing. It says, Crave, tell us what you crave. Follow our instructions and we'll make it happen. Then it kind of shows you that all around the campus that people are making out, and there's stories of like threesomes and stuff like this. At this point you get the idea that this this app that mysteriously appeared on everybody's phone at this university, basically like you type in what you crave, and somehow one way or another, magically, like the app makes it happen. We kind of run into our main character here. We don't get a name drop yet, but his name is David. I think it's David Brown. We get this note from his mom and dad saying that they're proud of him for, I guess, going to college. It doesn't say what, just says you're proud. We also run into his best friend, which ends up being Albert, and they're kind of discussing the new app and kind of like some of the crazier things that have gone down, like people that have hooked up that wouldn't have hooked up before, people that are in relationships that are still in relationships that are seen making out with other kids, stuff like that. You get this exaggerated feeling because you start seeing stuff like this, you know, like it says Theo, I love you, like people acting out in extraordinary ways kind of thing. So we run into David's girlfriend, what happens to be Charlotte, and her little crew, which is Daniela and Julia. There's this kind of background story about Julia and Daniela that we'll get to in a little bit. But basically we kind of get this, like, you know, weird feeling that David isn't all for Charlotte, even though they're together at the moment. It cuts over to the scene where they're all chilling, you know, David and his dude, and then Charlotte and her crew. While they're eating lunch, we get David, and he's staring at this girl over here at Alexandria. We kind of get the gist that he's kind of more into her than Charlotte. They show some other, I mean, like this is an example of like this dude is dating a girl. His girlfriend ends up walking by, doesn't even bat an eye at her, but yet he's making out with another girl. You get the situation that there's something like, you know, kind of bad or sinister going on with this app or something like that. Like I said, his girlfriend kind of walks by and doesn't even notice that his, you know, her boyfriend's kissing this other girl. But we get this girl, and she is the main character, Sophia. And we find out that our dude Albert, David's best friend, is into Sophia. During this lunch thing, we get this, you know, David gets a notification on his Crave thing, and we get this image right here, and it's from that girl Alexandria. I guess she, you know, it doesn't say what, but it just, you know, it says, hello David, hidden user sent you a photo, want to see more, and type yes or no. And he gets all weirded out, blushes, and puts the phone in his pocket, doesn't want his friends to see, but Albert does see it before he gets it, you know, in his pocket. We get this scene right here, like right after that, where like Charlotte tries to have a conversation with David, and it's basically like she invited him to this party that he already specifically told her that he didn't want to go to. It was something like a family thing, and he didn't mix with her family. She went ahead and invited him anyways, and it just like lit the spark, like, you know, what he was already thinking. So he ultimately breaks up with her, and he's like, you know, that's it, I'm not feeling this. And he doesn't do it in a bad way. He's just like, nah, you know, that's it. She takes it really hard. I mean, she runs off crying, whatever. He kind of bats his eye and goes another way. We get this a classroom dissection, and they're talking about social media, and it's rather interesting because the whole book focuses on a social media app, and the discussion is, it says, is social media designed with your long-term happiness in mind? And it's a discussion between the professors and the students talking about whether they feel like Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that has our long-term like emotional status like involved, or is it just all about the algorithm and collecting data and stuff like that. There is some very good conversation between the students and the teacher, but for the most part we got Albert and David, and they're basically talking about Alexandra. We know that Albert saw that picture and he's like, man, it's got to be a fake, it couldn't have been her that sent that to you, she's not even that type of person. We get this backstory about Alexandria, about how she's basically been cut off from the world because her brother died in a motorcycle accident, and basically her parents after that was like, so nervous about letting her do anything, so they basically kept her locked up, and their understanding of her backstory doesn't lead them to believe that she would be like this. We also get this hint that Albert is after this girl Sophia, that's his Crave, but it's not gone into at the moment. We get, after the class, we get a man that approaches the two kids knowing they're friends of another guy, this guy named Kai Saito. And this guy is looking for him. It turns out he's the director of these special projects, and Kai Saito is one of the head students for that project, and he's turned up missing. He does mention two other kids along with Kai Saito that's missing, but he needs to find Kai Saito because these special projects or whatever, that it's coming to a crunch time type of thing. We jump over to their dorm rooms, and sure enough, Kai Saito's there, and I guess they're roommates or whatever, and that's why he was approached. But Kai Saito, he's writing this post-it, and I'll go over this in a second, but he's posting a post, trying to leave a note for his two friends, David and Albert, and so they end up running into him. They're like, hey, what's going on, where you going? We got this director guy that's looking for, he's like, hey man, I got a jet, it's this girl Daniela's birthday party or something other, I'll see y'all later. And he ends up trying to leave. Before he does, we get another guy that ends up knocking on the door. He's kind of like an arch enemy to our dude Albert, but basically he's looking for Kai Saito as well, and Kai Saito hides behind the door telling him, hey, don't tell me I'm here. This guy eventually leaves. There's some bullying as far as like Albert's concerned about that he'll never get this or that, which leaves our dude Albert to actually put in his craving, and he puts in his craving that he wants to make out with Sophie Hunt. The Crave thing comes back and actually states that, hey, that's a high probability. If you follow these instructions, we'll lead you to this craving kind of thing. And they actually give him like specific, okay, go down this corridor, go next to this elevator, next to these bathrooms. So Albert ends up taking off. We do find out what's on that post-it note that Kai Saito left, and it basically says, whatever you do, don't use the Crave app. And that was the last thing that he said before he ends up like running off or leaving. And no one ends up seeing the note. It just falls down and we the readers see it. We do see Albert following those instructions, and the last thing we see over here is him getting the elevator, Sophie walking like right behind him. We get this weird ominous message on the app, like Crave app. The last thing they show with them is they're in the elevator, and it looks like something is happening in the elevator because both of them are exclaiming they didn't do anything. We get this scene over here where Charlotte's like typing into the Crave thing, and she wants to get back with David, and the Crave app is like, nope, there's no probability that's going to happen. So it's not like you just type in your craving and you get whatever you want. This thing knows that they broke up kind of thing. We get the scene over here where David's trying to hide from Charlotte's friends. Of course, they broke up. He didn't want to talk to him. This is where their backstory comes in with Danielle and Julia. And Julia supposedly knows something about Daniela, and it has something to do with the Crave app. But that's all we really get. We get this weird scene where a teacher and a student break in, and evidently they've been using the Crave app, and they're so into what they're doing physically that they don't even notice David is there. The very last thing we get is the Crave app pops up with that same image with Alexandria asking, hey, you didn't notice this. Do you want to see more? Yes or no? And he ends up clicking the yes thing, seeing all kind of crazy dominatrix looking photos, and that's the last of this issue. We do get a couple preview images of the next issue, but that's basically it. Man, this book was fantastic. There's so many things going on in this book, especially with the social media aspect of it. The conversations between the students and the teacher was probably one of my favorite parts, because they hit on so many types of relative situations, like social status being like the common currency nowadays, with views and subscribers and stuff like that. It's very interesting. But guys, this is my review. Let me know down below what you thought about it. I'm highly looking forward to the next issue. I think we have a hit here. But that's all I got for you guys. Bah!